For today's creature feature, we come back to the city of St. Augustine. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome if it's your first time. It's my birthday weekend, and we're doing spooky stuff, and tonight we've got a treat for you. Or for us.
Yeah.
It's more so for us, but you guys can come too. Yeah. And of course, we have to begin at a haunted cemetery. Oh yes. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome if it's your first
time.
Tampa J, Chris the girl here, back in St. Augustine. Tonight we're taking a walking ghost tour around the ancient city streets of the oldest city in America, St. Augustine, a place we've been to before and will come again. This will be my second time ever doing a ghost tour here in St. Augustine, and this will be Chris the girl's first. I am very excited for that because the one I did back in 2009 was very good. A lot of awesome stories that happen here. I'm hoping they tell some of the same ones. I'm hoping we're able to capture as much as we can on the tour. If we are not, if they do not want a lot of filming, we are prepared to take the tour and then go back out and reshare the stories. I just want to put that up front here. Not so sure what we're gonna get into. We just knew this is halfway to Halloween. Yes, we're continuing that celebration. It's my birthday weekend. Actually, tomorrow, April 30th, is my birthday, and I wanted to do a ghost tour with you. So the camera, sorry my friends, the camera was secondhand, but we're gonna try to get you in there with us. Hopefully it'll be successful, but if not, we're gonna take the tour without anyone around us later with you guys if it doesn't go through. But I'm thinking it might work out.
We will see. And also, even if it does, we were thinking about doing another walkthrough around, and because you have a lot of stories evidently, so
I could, if they drop some of the stories off that I know, I'll go back out and share some of mine, because the first time I came and took the tour was by a gentleman. The gentleman that gave the tour was known as the sheriff, and I actually talked to him last week because I had his number and I reached out to him, and he's no longer doing the tours, but he recommended this one, so it should be kind of similar. I'm hoping. Ancient City Tours. You can find them on the interwebs, ancientcitytours.com. This one is called Ghostly Encounter. So we're gonna check that out. And we're gonna head over here and show you where it begins, over there on historic St. George, just beyond the main gates of St. Augustine. I think I put it all up front. I don't think did I miss something?
I don't think so.
All right, it's time for today's creature feature. Ooh, what a birthday is this. Let's begin. Much ahead. And I'm very familiar with the streets of St. Augustine because back when I was about 21, 22, yeah, it would have been 21, my brother went to Flagler, so I used to come up here on the weekends and hang out. And right here at this Irish pub, that's where I had my very first Guinness, my very first pint of Guinness right there, inside Ann O'Malley's. And we look at that sky. The sun just set in the west and it rained earlier, so it cooled down quite a bit. I think we picked the perfect night. And they do offer all sorts of things to do here in St. Augustine. Horse and carriage ride, check this out. Very nice. And there's the Casa De San Marcos, which I believe we might go to tomorrow, so check out the next video. But for now, we're heading into the main gates of St. Augustine, built in 1808. Those gates right there, there used to be two wooden doors that would swing open right there on the front, built by the Spanish. And not too far down St. George, the main historic thoroughfare, on the right, the oldest schoolhouse in America. That's where we're meeting up for the ghost tour, right down there to the right. The oldest schoolhouse in America. This is where the ghostly encounters our house, and this is where you meet up. There's a couple of pirates over here. I don't know if they're a part of the tour, but they're pretty cool. A ghostly encounter. Tickets sold here, but we bought ours in advance. It was $25 each, and there were so many options. There were so many different kind of tours, but we're doing the walking one. And also, for an extra $5, I purchased a K2 EMF meter, so we can actually do some paranormal investigating while out on the tour. And there are several tours a night. Actually, there's one about every 30 minutes. We booked our tour tonight for 8:20. It is currently about 8:10, so we have 10 minutes. Chris the girl, beautiful Chris the girl, my fiance, standing before the oldest wooden schoolhouse in America. And you've been in there before, haven't you?
This was my mom's favorite thing here at St. Augustine. She was a teacher for a long time, so basically every time we visited here, we had to see the oldest schoolhouse. It's really cool. We have to do it sometime.
Yeah, and did you know it's haunted?
I did not honestly know that until this trip. Yeah.
So there is an option. You can do a 90-minute paranormal investigation inside the schoolhouse upon each visit, each night here.
So that would be cool. We have to do that sometime.
All right. And we came inside the office, grabbed our stickers, which lets the guide know that we are all paid up. And there's my EMF meter. Hopefully we'll get that going tonight. We'll get some hits on it. My PKE meter. That's what I'm going to call it. Here you go. Here's your sticker.
Thank you.
One for you and one for me. I'm going to need one of those. Yeah, we're just kind of waiting right here in St. George for everyone to come together to start the tour.
All right, listen up. If you're here for the 820 ghostly encounter, I need you to line up against this wall over here.
All right, we're up against the wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, hi.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Hijack Daniels, and unfortunately, you're stuck with me today. Yay.
Yay.
We'll do it. That's fine.
I like you. Okay, now folks, before we continue, just got a couple questions. First, do we have any believers?
Yay.
Okay. Any non-believers? Okay.
And just a recap of what he was talking about, he was just going into personal stories about ghosts and paranormal activity and giving examples of different types. That was it. And now we're just heading out onto the tour. He did say we were going to some of the four most haunted places in all of St. Augustine.
I want everybody just to gather around, right across the street, right around here. I want to make sure nobody gets hit by a car. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Color Model Cemetery. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you a story real quick. Now, you're currently standing in one of St. Augustine's largest, well, Florida's largest Native American burial ground. Now, this Native American burial ground that stands here would go from this street here all the way to the college, up to US 1, back to this street here, around here. This is an ancient Native American burial ground. Now, when the Spanish came here, of course we all know the story. They came here, they settled down, and they took over. Well, Talamal Cemetery is a Catholic cemetery. Now, there is this, everybody familiar with the city gates?
Yeah.
Okay, so the city gates, right there. Anything on this side of the city gates was considered to be St. Augustine. Anything outside of St. Augustine, well, you're pretty much out in the woods, folks. Now, if you're Catholic and you pass away, you would be buried here. Now, if you weren't Catholic,
Cemetery.
you would be buried outside the city gates. There's a different cemetery there. We'll take you there later first. Now, folks, there's one particular tombstone. I'm not sure if you can see it from here, but it's this little tombstone right there. It sits by itself.
It's way out there, okay.
Yeah, right there. Now, folks, that belongs to a little boy named James. So this happened back in 1848.
James.
Now, James. He, 5-year-old boy, lived not too far from here, second house. From here. It is now a bed and breakfast. Now he lived there like any 5-year-old kid. Mom, can I go outside and play? Mom would be like, yes, you can, but have you done your chores first? Nope. Little boy does his chores. Mom, can I go outside and play? Goes to play. Mom knew. Little boy loved playing next to this tree here. She knew. Anytime she'd have to go find him, she would find him right there. Little boy would run around the tree, climb up and down the tree, jump from tree branch to tree branch, like playing all over the place. There's one particular evening, same thing. Mom, can I go outside and play? Did you do your chores? Yes. Goes out and play. Come back for supper. Well, sure enough, supper time came around. James isn't home. There's still sunlight out. So Mom, she goes, okay, I'll wait a little bit longer. Now it begins to get dark. And James still isn't home. So Mom, of course, begins to panic a bit. She decides she wants to come down to the tree, see the little boy. As she approaches, she sees the little boy laying on the floor. Her first thought, oh, he must have played himself tired. She gets closer and closer, and she starts noticing. She realizes James is not breathing. She goes to pick up James to realize his neck is broken. He fell off the tree, broke his neck. Of course, the heartbroken mother, what else is she going to do? She's going to bury her child. What better place to bury him next to his favorite tree? Now the story goes, and there's been hundreds of reports, folks, of a little boy seen playing around here, running around this area,
Right around the tree.
climbing up the tree, jumping back and forth. And it's been called, it's been reported. And the people that see them the most are over here, this restaurant. Now, anybody want to guess what kind of who are the people that see them the most?
Drunk people.
Moms.
Moms.
But
That was
mostly
good guess though. Children.
children. Just last week, there was an incident where, and the only reason why I know this is because I love this place, and I come here often, and I like to talk to the employees. I like to ask them, you guys ever heard anything weird? Well, last week there was an incident where a family was coming through, and the little boy kept asking his mom, Mommy, can I go play? And he kept pointing to the cemetery. Mom goes, why do you want to go here? The little boy keeps inviting me to come over. And she goes, where's the little boy? And he insisted he was over here. She didn't see him at first. Not until later. But here you see that tomb right there.
Oh, yeah.
And here you can see his eyes, his nose,
Oh my
his
gosh.
lips. You see his cheekbones, his hairline, his shoulders, and his arms crossing. Like he's sitting down Indian style.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
Now, folks.
Horse going by. Okay, so he told a few stories back at that spot in front of the cemetery. I remember before, the tour I took before, we were able to go more so in the center of the cemetery. The stories were interesting, some I haven't heard before, some that I have. Very awesome. All right, heading into the dark. I've got my EMF ready to go. See if we get any readings out here. Huguenot Cemetery.
Huguenot Cemetery. Now, the Huguenot Cemetery is a cemetery that was made for those who weren't Catholic. Now,
Protestant cemetery.
In 1821, there was a supply ship coming in from Havana, Cuba. Now, keep in mind, during this time, St. Augustine is still considered a young town, a young city. Right? And they rely on a lot of the supplies that come in from Spain. Now, Havana, Cuba is considered a major port for Spain. Now, this particular day, there was a ship coming in, a supply ship coming in, and it came about 3 miles away. It was waving a Spanish flag, so the city knew it was one of the ships, but it didn't get closer. So the day went on, the ship never approached. 3 days passed by. Now, of course, the city, they're concerned. They want to know, is this a trap by some of the pirates? So they sent a team to go investigate. But now when they investigate the ship and they board the ship, they found the crew and the captain, but they were all dead. Now there was no sign of foul play. No, It looked like they just dropped and died. Now keep in mind, this is a perfectly good ship, and it's full of supplies, and they're in desperate need of these supplies. Do you really think they're gonna leave this ship out there? Of course not. They brought the ship in. Weeks later, there was an outbreak. Yes, the Spanish influenza, the yellow fever, the yellow jack. Oops. That yellow fever wiped out 1/3 of the population. Now people were dying left and right at a very fast rate, and they were having a hard time keeping up burying the people. Now if you want to be buried in this cemetery here, there's a $4 fee. And if you can't afford that $4 fee, anybody want to guess where you get buried?
The street.
The sea.
I'll give you a clue. Look down. Remember how I mentioned you're walking in one of the largest
Anywhere.
undocumented official cemeteries? Yes.
There's bodies everywhere.
Now folks, if you look into this cemetery here, you will see there's only 95 headstones.
95.
95 headstones. But in this lot right here, there's over 1,000 people buried. In this lot right here. See what would happen, you would be buried. After some time, of course, the coffin would decompose, as you would too, and the ground would sink. When the ground would sink, that would let the grave there go. That's the deal with the lot. They dig it up, they bury another person, they just pile them over.
Just keep piling bodies in. Ooh.
Now, if you couldn't afford your feet, buried you are.
Entire families are like buried in the same place.
Oh.
In New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to St. Augustine. Now, folks, we all know the medical industry at this time is not very advanced at all. Many people were being misdiagnosed with that. And oftentimes, they're being buried. Now, there was a situation where a body had to be exhumed. And when they did, and they opened the lid, they noticed claw marks on the lid.
Ooh.
So now they started doing investigations. Right? They started digging up other bodies. And they realized not everybody they buried was dead. So what they started doing, they started tying a little bell to the person's foot or their hand. They would run the string up a tube that came up above ground, connected to that bell. Now if the person wanted to wake up, well, they would start moving. When they started moving, they would hear this.
Dead ringer.
Now there's always a person working the graveyard shift here overnight, listening for the sound. Now when they hear the sound, they know they have a dead ringer.
Mm-hmm.
So they go out looking for the bell, they start digging, they pull up the coffin, only to find out the person was still alive. And they're more than happy to let them know they were saved by the bell folks. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you two of the most common stories. One of them is Elizabeth. She's a 14-year-old girl who was a daughter of the gatekeeper. And she loved her daddy. And she loved hanging out with her dad. Every day she'd be out here, she would stand by the city gates, she would wave at the people that come into the city. She'd greet them. Very happy. Hi, welcome to St. Augustine.
Elizabeth.
She'd greet them as they would leave. 1821 comes around, she passes away.
Passed away of
Story
yellow
goes,
fever.
Elizabeth is oftentimes seen out here waving as people drive. They see a little girl waving, very happy. And they think, oh, how adorable. There's a reenactor. Only to realize it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Why is there a 14-year-old girl by herself out here? So of course anybody would turn around, drive back, and they would call it in. Now this happens so many times, there's an actual police code for this. It's called Code Elizabeth.
Code Elizabeth. Mm-hmm.
People drive by and see this little girl walking around by herself, and I think she's lost.
All right, back through the gates. Here we go, Chris the girl. I've got the EMF reader for walking through. No spikes so far. Did get a little bit of something at the graveyard, the first one. Elizabeth.
All right, folks, we're gonna be walking straight this way. We'll head towards the stop sign over there.
Head towards the stop sign. Ooh, Castillo de San Marcos. Little schematic of the fort there.
You guys see this tree right here? This tree here. Look, this tree here.
That tree?
This tree and this tree here.
3 trees, 3 palm trees.
I want to recreate a certain picture we took a couple weeks ago. So if you guys want to, go ahead, take your phone out and take a picture. But make sure that this tree and that tree are all in the frame.
All those trees.
But I want you to take a good look and see if there's nobody walking around here.
Okay, Chris is going to take a photo.
I'm trying to recreate a certain picture. I'm going to show you guys that picture here in a moment. Take a few pictures once you're ready.
Take a screenshot. It'll dash down here.
All right, if you're ready, let's move along. Please mind your step, folks. The ground is very uneven.
Okay, we just literally stopped to take that photo. Another tour going on right here. We've crossed several tours tonight.
All right, folks. Now, this next story I'm gonna tell you, I like to call this a little forgotten place. Now, folks, you guys see this Castillo here?
Castillo, yeah.
Now, during these times when they built a Castillo here,
The tower.
they would always build an extra room. Now, think of this room as a room that has more rooms. Okay, folks? Now, they call this specific room a little forgotten place. The reason why is because this is where they would put the people. You know, if you got in trouble, you went to jail, or you went straight to the jail cell here, which is a hole in the wall. It's a big hole in the wall. Think of it as a dungeon. Now, this little special, little forgotten place. Think of it, this is where they would put you if they were ashamed of you. They were embarrassed, or they just wanted to make you disappear. Now, the story is of Sergeant Tuttle, and he was a British commander here when the British took control over St. Augustine. Now, when they were here, Sergeant Tuttle was given the task. They had to relocate the cannons. Now, folks, those of us, has anybody been here to the Castillo before? Yeah?
Long
you guys
time
see
ago.
those big brass cannons on the gun deck? Well, they were tasked with moving those. They were going to move them from this corner to this corner here. Well, as the crew was moving the cannons, some of them started noticing the ground, making certain sounds like crackles. So they're paying attention, they keep moving. Now when they get to about this corner over here, the ground caves in. The cannon falls right through. Now the crew, they were quick enough to jump back. But keep in mind, now they just lost a cannon. They're looking straight into the hole, they can see the cannon there. Now the sergeant, he wants to get this cannon back. So he sends his crew down the stairs to come back over here to look at the cannon. Well, they come down the stairs, they go into the house. They can't find the cannon. So they come back upstairs and let the sergeant know you can't find it. They're looking into the hole. They can see it. It's there. Go back. So they go back a second time, and one of the soldados notices a pattern on the wall. That's a change. Now you see the walls here are made of coquina. This particular wall here is made out of brick. That's just been painted over. So they decided to knock the wall down. It opened up to an empty room. Before, empty rooms. Now they're looking around. They search every room. They're all empty. They go back upstairs and tell the sergeant, we can't find the cannon. They look down the hole. You see the cannon still there. They go back. Once again, they go back. And this time, just like last time, they notice the wall. They knock the wall down. They go inside. Sure enough, they found their cannon. But it wasn't just the cannon they found. They found barrels of gunpowder stored in there. So now they have a full room full of gunpowder, and they found their cannon. They're pulling everything out. That's not the only thing they found. They happened to find a body chained up. But it wasn't just a body. You can tell this body has been there for a long time, because now it's just bones. And beside this body is one of the corpses. So, of course, they're horrible with keeping records on these times. Fast forward to modern days, the local historians here, they decided to do some investigation. And they were to find some connections to this. About 50 years prior, when the fort still belonged to the Spanish, it was being commanded by a man named Garcia Martin. Now, he was the commander here at the fort. Now, while he was here, he and his crew discovered that his first officer and his wife were having an affair. Shortly after, they disappeared. Story goes, the couple got away and they lived happily forever after. The other story goes, maybe it could be that. But keep in mind, forensics during this time nothing like it is today. But the story goes, those two people that were found in that room, most likely, those two couples.
All right, he's telling us to
Oh,
line
you
up
don't have
against
to
the
if you
wall.
want to.
Ooh, look at the shadows. Ooh.
Maybe one take a guess what this wall is? Firing squad.
This is the firing squad
Firing
line.
squad. Alright, folks.
That's creepy.
Welcome to the execution wall. Now, keep in mind, we're talking in the early
Any bullet
16th
holes?
century.
Oh
Now, the
yeah,
type of weapons the Spanish soldados were using was the matchlock arquebus.
there are holes.
Now, matchlock arquebus is it's a very archaic weapon in a way. During this time,
So
it's
many
super
indentations. This is
but-
the
but
firing wall.
It's a muzzleloader. It's a .44
Execution.
single shot. Now, this weapon is hiding around here. The reason why is
Having a good time on the tour. How about you?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah. I remember some of these stories and many of them are new. Comparing pictures here.
no, the original
Oh
picture
yeah,
is
he's
this
on
one.
top of the fort.
Yeah,
Now, this is the fort right here.
Yeah.
yeah, it's to the right of the trees.
Ooh, yeah, there's a figure there.
Okay.
This is
See
the
to
photo
the-
Chris just took.
To the right of the
Just to the right of the right palm tree.
Yeah.
I don't see anything in yours.
Yeah. Took a couple.
And just like that, we're back at the oldest wooden schoolhouse in America.
All right, folks, welcome back to where we started. I do want to thank you guys. I sure hope you all had a good time. I know I did.
Don't listen
All right, keep moving.
Are you nuts?
All right, you don't scare me, I'm married.
I don't scare you. You don't scare me.
All right, I handed in my EMF to this gentleman here. We have concluded the tour.
Yeah,
What'd you think?
I liked it.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
It's a little different than the one I took before. I heard new stories and I heard some old ones, and I went to places I'd never been before, and we didn't go to some places that I've been to before, so we might actually venture out into St. Augustine, and I think I can remember some of those stories, so yeah. And just 2 houses down from the cemetery, you have Casa De Suenos Inn Bed and Breakfast. This building built in 1904, but originally purposed as being a funeral home. This bed and breakfast that people have stayed at many times over the past 50 or 60 years was once a funeral home, and it is haunted by several ghosts. And I remember the story the last time I was out here with the cowboy gentleman, the sheriff, and him pointing to this window and saying this is where they used to display the bodies inside of the coffins. The recently deceased would often be showed through this window, so the townspeople could come by and basically pay their respects to the dead. Now, there are talks of ghosts. There's one ghost here at the Casa De Suenos that goes by Randolph. There are tellings of guests sending photos back to the innkeepers after staying here and pointing out figures in the background, and don't know how he got that name. I was reading online that maybe a paranormal investigator gave that ghost a name, but there's a ghost called Randolph. Also, there is a shadow couple. A couple stayed here in 2010 and they saw 2 shadows, one to be a man, one to be a woman, and they were walking in the hallway. And there are so many accounts and ghost stories of this former funeral home, and it's a beautiful building, and I would definitely stay there. And
We looked into it for this weekend. It's
yeah,
really
it's really expensive.
But someday we'll splurge and we'll stay here for sure.
Yeah, former funeral home. And I read that it was a funeral home all the way up into the 1960s to add to the paranormal folklore, the ghost stories of St. Augustine. Right here. The Casa De Suenos. Casa de Dreams. No vacancy tonight. We couldn't stay here if we wanted to. They're booked for the weekend. And here we are once again before Flagler College. This is where my brother went. I've been inside this building a few times. Actually took a photo with my dad and my brother just over there to the right. There's scaffolding right now. They're doing some construction. I showed that the last time I showed the photo, but this was the former Ponce de Leon Hotel, built by Henry Flagler of Standard Oil Company. Now, if you know anything about Flagler, he is the one credited for building most of Florida. Him and Henry Plant back in Tampa. It was the two Henrys. And there you go, Mr. Flagler right there. Same statue sits down at the Miami-Dade County Courthouse in Miami, by the way. And a little brief history. The magnificent structure was erected between 1885 and 1887, just about the same time as the Tampa Bay Hotel was being built back in Tampa by Henry Plant. So Chris the girl, the story goes something like this. I'm gonna give you the cliff notes. This is what I remember, but Henry Flagler was a bit of a ladies' man. The man is actually buried right behind this hotel in the church with his 3 wives. And we'll go there someday. It's kind of bizarre. Yeah, he's buried with his 3 wives. He had several mistresses. And one mistress, I don't remember her name. Actually, I don't even know if it was ever spoken. But one of his mistresses was basically tired of being hid and went crazy. Because the fact that Ida, his wife, would always come back and forth expecting Henry to be up to no good with his mistresses right up here inside the Ponce de Leon, which he most of the time was. So goes it, there is a room, a tower, actually it's the tower all the way to the left. Henry was a very spiritual guy, and back then in the late 1800s, people were experimenting with spirituality. They were doing things kind of like we learned back in Casa De. They were doing seances. They were trying to connect with their inner self, with spirits beyond, all that kind of stuff. So Henry Flagler had a seance room right up there. Also, AKA, that's where I'm gonna go with my mistress room. And supposedly, something went wrong. Something went wrong with this mistress and she lost her mind. I think it was just a string of jealousy. Hey, I'm tired of you going back and forth. But she hung herself in that room right up there to the left. And let's get a little closer as I tell this story so we can see the building. And we're pausing the story so I can get a little closer to this tower to the left. Oh, wow. Okay, so something's not going on like it should be, and I'll tell you, I'll explain it. There should be a light shining up on that corner building. This would be the southwest corner. Look closely up into that window. See if you see anyone hanging by their neck. I did see a light come on there. Now, currently, I think, back in the day, these were still the ladies' dorms, and I think they still are.
It seems like
yeah, there's still, this is the women's dorms here. But notice this tower right here. So, story goes, if there is not a light shining from in or on that tower, that we will see a ghost of the hanging mistress in the window. We're gonna go all the way around to see if we see anything. I don't see a light. I so remember taking a tour out here and the host telling us that several people have called 911 because they thought they saw someone hanging from the building right here in this portion. And if the light was not shining on the tower, or the light was not on, someone was going to see it. Now, I do remember a light shining up there all those years ago, and I do not see one today. So, are we prone to see one right now? Take a screenshot. Maybe it's up there right now. It'll last longer, but that's the story. The hanging ghost, aka Henry Flagler's mistress. We've come back to the first cemetery. It was quite busy and we didn't make it over to the actual main gates. This is Tolomato, and this is one of the oldest cemeteries in all of America and one of the most haunted during the first Spanish period prior to 1763. This site was occupied by the Christian Indian village of Tolomato. And the little boy named James, who is said to have fallen out of this tree to his death, is buried right behind here, and it is said that his spirit still walks this graveyard. And I kid you not, right there, the grave of James P. Just as Jack explained. You can almost make out the date. Can you make out when he died?
November 28th, 1877.
1877, okay.
6 years old. No, 5.
5 years old, so that lines up with the story.
Yeah.
Just a little boy. So he fell out of that tree right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're summoning the ghost of James. James! Hey fella. We're no strangers. I know your mother always told you not to talk to strangers, but we're your friends and we will not harm you. So if you want to, you know, come out and say hello, or perhaps, you know, throw a rock or a twig or anything, we wouldn't mind, right? James. I don't think anything's happening, but we tried. Oh, that's fun. And now we come 2 blocks over on Hippolyta Street. Right there is Spanish Street, and up there is St. George, just after Spanish. We actually had breakfast this morning in this establishment, Schmegel's Bagels, which was really good. They ran out of bagels. We barely got some. There's the sign right there. Very good, awesome coffee. Remember those bagels this morning?
It seems like a distant dream, but
a long time ago.
Yeah.
You got them in the video.
It was really good. Yes.
Yesterday's video. Okay, so right across here, Scarlet O'Hara's used to be formerly named after the Gone with the Wind character. This was a Gone with the Wind themed restaurant, and the very first night I ever came to St. Augustine, I ate here with my parents and my brother right after his orientation, and we actually ate upstairs. There was a downstairs seating, there's outside patio. We ate upstairs. Long story short, my brother would come up here for years during Flagler, his stay here at Flagler, and I would come up here with him. This house is said to be extremely haunted by a ghost of a man that was murdered in his bathtub. George Coley, I believe, was his name, and he was the builder of this house. Built in 1877 is when this was built, and he had several wives, and then shortly after he married one of them, the second or the third, I can't remember, he was mysteriously found dead in the bathtub, and foul play was suspected, but it was never convicted. And of course, this place is haunted. Now, when we were out here eating breakfast across the street at the bagel place this morning, I heard a tour go by and said that Scarlet O'Hara's here, that closed down a couple years back, was just recently sold for $3.9 million. So congratulations to the new owner. I'm hoping you open another Scarlet's, but we'll see what happens here. That is a lot of money. The real estate has really gone up here in St. Augustine, specifically just Florida in general. Very cool to still see Scarlet's on the door there. The lights are on. I don't know if anyone's home though, but maybe the ghost. There is something in the window that looks really weird right now. Something moving. What is that? I don't know. Might be just a reflection or a shadow, but there is definitely something moving in that window right now. Ooh, that's creepy. Alright everyone, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up. Right down there, something different. We took a tour and recorded it. I hope you enjoyed our experience on that tour. Thank you so much for the Ancient City Tours again, for putting that on and having us out. Again, 25 bucks for that tour. And also we found of another tour today at the Macabre. What was the name of that place?
The Odd Macabre.
The Odd Macabre, and we look forward to taking that one next time. I think that'll be our next one, the Odd Macabre, which is right over here on Spanish Street. So shout out to them, and we met them a little too late. We didn't really have a plan before we came up here. I talked to the sheriff, as I said at the beginning of the video. He recommended that one. and we're gonna change it up next time. So I hope you enjoyed the extended stories, the stories I remembered. I was able to look some of them up to back up the stories. Those stories, I don't know if they're still told out here, but they do exist, and I was able to remember that and share a bit with you there at the end. 10 minutes until, no wait, about an hour until 10 minutes till my birthday here in St. Augustine. I've had a great weekend so far. We did a lot today and last night, and we're doing something again tomorrow on my actual birthday. Tonight is April 29, 2023, and tomorrow I will be a little bit older than I was the day before. That's it. And I'm happy to be here with Chris the girl to celebrate it this weekend. We're gonna head home. And also, check out Chris the girl's video. As she would say, she had her camera, she was making a video. Here comes a car. Bumping. It's got a little bit noisier here at night on the weekends. It's time to go home.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
It's time to go home.
Let's go back to the place.
Yeah.
And for the bonus features, we stayed. This is the gates before the driveway where we stayed this weekend. We stayed out in the middle of nowhere, just west of St. Augustine. This creepy drive. Ooh. You gotta go so slow. There's a lot of wildlife.
Saw a lot of deer and turkeys.
A lot of deer and turkeys earlier. And about a mile almost back here. And this is where we stayed this weekend. Southern Pines. Oh no, sorry. Southern Palms Equestrian. It's a horse farm.
Yeah.
They've got a little apartment on the end there. And if you want to see the tour, I think Chris the girl covered it in her video.
Sure did.
Where we stayed, and I really enjoyed it. It's becoming one of my favorites. There's horsies in here. All right, everyone. Heading into our weekend place here, our stay. It rained earlier today, so it's a little wet, but we could, if we wanted to, could build a bonfire here and tell some spooky stories. In about a minute, it'll officially be midnight. It'll be my birthday. You can hear the wildlife. Oh, it's so dark out here. Also, there's horses out there beyond the fence. All right, everyone, know you're awesome, know you're loved, and no matter who you are, what you're going through, there's always much ahead for you. Southern Pines Equestrian. We're home.
We're home.
Our weekend home. All right, good night, everyone. Ooh, I got a gift. Midnight, April 30th, 2023. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday, Tampa J.
Thank you. Good night. Moo.